Pakistan. They need 2 runs to win on the last over. Srishant bowls magic and then UV gets the run out in the end. Oh God, that's stuff of dreams, bro.
And there's a bowl out.
And there's a bowl out. To top it all. And one of the things Mahi did really well that time is he sat behind the stumps.
Has he changed over the years?
No.
Same guy.
The same guy.
Firstly, because I'm a Mumbai Indians fan. Secondly, because I'm a Rohit fan. Thirdly, because I'm a Hardik fan. But that cocktail right now is not working.
What perception are you looking at it from?
I think there's arguments on both sides.
There are 3 sides here.
The third side being?
Mumbai Indians, the franchise.
I would always assume that cricketers have these kind of conversations with each other.
No. It's very hard to have deep conversations with cricketers because it's a very insecure world.
They're sucking up.
Like you cannot imagine. You have to play the game. And kudos to the guys who can actually play the game. Before the IPL came along, you have to win Ranji Trophy.
Win.
Not score runs. You have to win. Like I can tell you, there are 5 boys from Kerala today who can play for India. But they won't be noticed until they win a Ranji Trophy.
Without taking names, have you ever had to separate bros from getting into a fight?
Fights, Irfan and I would have. I was playing in Pakistan, I remember, and the Asia Cup was happening, and then I was having something, and then he was making fun of me. He was calling me Genda or something. And after a point, I'm like, you bro. I got angry. I got very upset with it. In the 2007 World Cup in South Africa, we RP, Piyush, me, Irfan, Mahi would sit down and have a meal together. 1 dal makhni, 1 butter chicken, 1 jeera aloo, naan, rice.
You know, you're talking about it like you're bros, but for all the cricket fans, these are superheroes. For us, you're the Avengers. There's a big difference between podcasts and interviews. Interviews are all about questions and answers. Podcasts are about conversations, which is exactly why I believe that cricket podcasts unlock a completely unknown side of our favorite cricketers. Grew up watching Robin Uthappa bat for India, bat for Kolkata. Grew up knowing that he's dealing with mental health issues during the peak of his career. And now that I'm 31 years old and I've seen life a little bit, I understand the greatness of his own internal battles. This was one of my favorite cricket podcasts that we've recorded till date because Robin's fantastic at expressing what's going on inside his mind and expressing what he feels about different topics related to the cricket world. I genuinely believe that cricket podcasting is here to stay, and we've discovered a cricket all-star in the form of Robin Uthappa. It's a conversation I enjoyed. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it if you're a cricket fan or if you're just a fan of greatness in general. It's Robin Uthappa on the Ranveer Show. Robin Uthappa is on TRS. I've been waiting for this since a very, very long time. Thank you for being here, Robin.
No, thank you for having me. I've been someone who's actually been following your growth and evolution as well. I've been watching the show, I think, for a good 3, 4, 5 years now.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Means a lot because you played for Mumbai Indians in IPL season 1.
Not many people know that though.
Mumbai Indians fans remember. The ones who watched all the seasons remember. I remember you taking a catch and then doing the bow down and all. You were fielding at...
Point, I think, in Wankhede.
I think it was long off or long on. I can't remember.
Perhaps, yeah.
But I remember you taking this catch.
It's the old Wankhede Stadium.
Yeah. You did the bow down. And I was really happy because I think this was after the 2007 World Cup, this IPL. And Robin Uthappa had a very cool vibe then because your whole vibe coming out of the 2007 World Cup was head on, mercurial, all that. And then one of the commentators said, no, how can he bow down? This is not correct. And I felt very angry as a fan. I was like, why can't someone get to express their personality?
Yeah.
I think the cricket world wasn't ready for the new age cricket world that was coming through.
Yeah. Back then I felt... I always felt with my cricket, I always felt I was slightly ahead of the curve. Growing up, I would play aggressively, and often there were many times I was chucked out of the nets because I played too aggressively, played too many shots in the air. I've even been dropped from my Ranji Trophy team once because I played a reverse sweep in an under-19 state match and then got out. And then to see 20 years on, that if you don't play the reverse sweep, you may not, like if you don't know to play innovative shots, you may not find a spot in a side. So you see the game evolving like that, and I was at the other end. As in, I often played the reverse sweep. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think that's such is life. Yeah.
Um, there's things you get to learn about human beings through the process of podcasting. Now, personally, I also love cricket. So I watch a lot of cricket punditry, and I know you more than I know the average guest on my show, because I followed your cricket career and I followed you as a pundit. So a lot of the stuff I'm going to ask you today or say to you today is from a place of a lot of thought. And it's a
Sure.
lot of questions that I've had for you since a very long time. Seeing your journey at KKR, before that at Mumbai Indians, before that in the 2007 World Cup. My question to you is, to begin with, like you spoke about how while you're growing up, you're not, and you weren't encouraged to play aggressive shots. Things have changed completely.
Yeah.
Right? But we're both 90s kids.
Yeah.
We didn't even think in the 90s that T20 would be a thing.
No.
Right?
Never.
So, and you began learning cricket in the 90s sometime, roughly?
Yeah.
Early 90s? Yeah. What was it like growing up, knowing that you possibly could become a cricketer for India? How was that journey? Like, how was your childhood? Basically, I'm wanting to know the background.
Well, for me, the story goes like this. I actually started playing tennis first as a sport. My dad was an international hockey umpire, and he also played hockey for Karnataka. Once got selected to the Indian camp, and then something happened, and then he was sent. Like he was made basically. He was selected to join the Indian camp, and then there were the local state elections that happened, and then the powers that were in place got changed, and then so while he was on the train, he was asked to give his ticket to the guy who was replacing him. And then so that's when he decided, okay, I don't want to play hockey anymore. And then he moved to, because hockey was his passion, he moved to doing something in relation with hockey. So he became a referee. Then he became Karnataka's second international hockey referee, and then he didn't want me to play a team sport because he saw the downsides or the political sides of or the bureaucracy sides of how it could affect an individual. So he wanted me to play an individual sport. He loved tennis, so he made me play tennis initially. I played tennis for a good 10 months, and I liked it. I loved the sport.
Were you good?
I was decent. I was getting decent at it. And 10 months down, it was almost summer vacations. I was 7 years old, and I went to my mum. Generally, my dad actually, we had a small 30-40 plot in front of our apartments. And then, so he cleaned that whole plot up and made it like a playground for all the kids to play. And so we'd play a lot of cricket there, a lot of different sports there. So that day I didn't go out to play. My mom was like, why haven't you gone out to play? And I brought a newspaper, and I said, I opened up the newspaper, and there's a city sports section on Indian Express newspapers. So, and there was this little article of Brijesh Patel and Imtiaz Cricket Academy. So I said, I want to go there. It was a summer camp. So I said, I want to go there. I don't want to play tennis anymore. So my mom was a little like flummoxed, a little like, hey, like how he's coming, like a 7-year-old kid is coming and tell me I want to play cricket. The story moves on to 2 days later. I saw the first pair of batting gloves in my life.
You could rewind a little bit. Why did you want to play cricket?
I don't know.
Just internally.
My first conscious memory of myself as a human being is of me playing cricket. So when I retired from all forms of Indian cricket, my mom actually put up that picture of the memory of myself. Like my first memory of myself as a person is of me playing cricket. My mom throwing the ball to me and me hitting it and me saying sixer. That is my first memory of myself. So I think I've always been in love with the game. I've always loved the game. I think I was truly passionate about the game, and it's something I know today is my passion. It's anything related to cricket. I adore it. I love it. It's fun. I don't feel bored. Today when I yes, I've retired from Indian cricket, but I'm still playing cricket outside of India. But when I speak to some of my peers, some of the former cricketers who've retired, a lot of them express as to how they feel burnt out, or they felt burnt out, and they don't enjoy the game anymore. It's not even relatable to me. I don't relate to what they're sharing with me. It feels like, how? Like for me, I'm not like, you make me, like with cricket, you make me coach people, I'll happily coach people. You make me talk about cricket, I'll talk about cricket. You make me broadcast, I'll broadcast. You make me play, I'll play. The energy, the passion for all of it is the same because it's cricket.
And on some deeper level, you don't know why. It's just there in your
I think
blood.
it was there. I think it was meant to be. I think cricket was meant to happen. And I always knew that. I think by the age of 8, when I first got dropped, like I went for my under 13 state selections at the age of 8 for the first time. And I got cut in the first round. I didn't make it past the first round. But I came back, I was very happy. And my mom was like, she came to, console me. And I said, don't worry, I'm fine. I said, I know that this is what I'll do for the rest of my life. I said, even if I earn 10 rupees from this, Mama, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. My mom was like, weird, again. But my mom supported me a lot through my childhood. She was the one, Dad was like, you want to play cricket? Play cricket. But I'm not taking you anywhere. Mom will take you. So literally, Mom learned to drive, taking me to the academies and to the summer camps and all of that. And Mom supported me quite a bit through my younger years. And Mom was the one who kind of... and cricket back then was a slightly expensive sport. Today is a far more expensive sport than it used to be. And through all the trials and tribulations that we've been through as a family, Mom's like supported me a lot in my younger years.
Were you an opening batsman then as well?
Yeah. As in middle order, and I started off as a middle order bat who could bowl off spin. But then I was naturally, with cricket, I could do everything. Yeah, I was a very decent fielder. I could keep well. I could bat anywhere. I could bowl. For junior Karnataka state underage state cricket, I bowled leg spin, off spin, medium pace, open the batting and bat in the middle order. So I've done everything, and I've kept. The only thing I didn't do is bowl left arm spin.
Dude, are all young cricketers also kind of trained to be all-rounders, and then does one of the skills drop off? That's all what I have always assumed.
Not necessarily, but yeah, ideally you will start off, bowling, batting, and like kids when they start off at the age of 7 and 8 and all that, right? They want to bowl, they want to bat, they want to try different things. So a lot of good coaches will allow them to go through all of those experiences and figure out, okay, and then they'll pay attention to, okay, what skills are they good with? And then they'll communicate that to them. There are coaches and then there are good coaches. And then you have to be lucky enough to find good coaches.
Good coaches also probably a good mentor in some ways. I think that's what... Or
not necessarily. I think communication is a completely different skill than being passionate about something. For example, you could be extremely good at something, but you won't know how to articulate what you're good at to somebody else. So I think that skill is a completely different skill that needs to be developed. A lot of thought goes behind it. Sometimes people aren't willing to go through the process of how to articulate something to somebody. Sometimes they don't want to articulate something to somebody. So there are different things that are involved in that.
Can we do a bit of a forward and backward
sure.
way of doing this podcast?
Yeah, yours. It's your podcast, dude. You can do it the way you want it.
Okay, and I'll tell you why I've been excited to speak to you. I've watched you very closely over the years. I feel there's very few people who are as articulate as you in the Indian cricket space. You're able to express some very deep stuff very well. I think KL Rahul's in that same mold, and I'll attribute that to being Karnataka.
Yeah.
To both of you guys.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is the same question I asked Kapil Dev. Since Kapil Dev, we've only seen a Hardik Pandya as a national team seam bowling all-rounder.
No, I would disagree with you. I think Irfan Pathan was one of them. Irfan actually has done exceptionally well, batted at number 3 for India in test matches. Scored, if I'm not wrong, he scored 100 as well. So I think he was underused as an all-rounder. Maybe that. He's finished won games for India as an all-rounder.
I'm a huge Irfan Pathan fan, and I would actually get very excited to see him bat always.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm looking at Hardik Pandya as the all-rounder because he was brought into the team as the all-rounder.
As an all-rounder.
Irfan Pathan was brought in as a bowler and then became a really good
developed. It was like nobody knew that his ability to bat. And Irfan, I think, was a very I would say, I think he's a very natural learner, and he learns very quickly. I think one of the most evolved kind of human beings in the space of cricket, I would say Harbhajan Singh, Bajupa, Irfan, because coming from where they are, the way they evolved into who they've become today, incredible journeys if you look at it from a very human perspective.
Which is what's not spoken about often.
Yeah.
The only issue I have with punditry, and I'm telling one of our pundits this, so don't mind it, is that there's lesser talk about the emotional side and the psychological side of you guys.
Yeah.
And it's not because of you, it's because of the questions posed to you, because that's what traditional broadcasting was.
Yeah.
But that's also a podcast kind of thing.
True.
But okay, again, my question is about all-rounders. what does it take for a kid to actually develop into a seam bowling all-rounder? Because even now, I don't think we're seeing too many people come through.
And I don't think with the way cricket is played in India, especially with the impact player rule in the IPL, there is an opportunity to develop all-rounders. For example, Ashwin was an opening batter in his younger days and then could bowl off spin. Today, he's got a test 100, can bat really well in the lower middle order, can bat anywhere actually if you look at it. But again, because he's pigeonholed into being a bowler, he's a bowler who can bat, is not considered an all-rounder. Similarly, it's about the perception that's formed. To answer your question, to become a fast bowling all-rounder, you have to kind of strike the iron when it's hot, in a sense. So as far as fast bowling is concerned, to become a good fast bowler, you don't want to start too early. Because I think in cricket, and maybe in all sport, fast bowling is probably the hardest skill to execute and sustain. Because you are putting, I don't know, numbers are, my numbers could be off. You're putting up to 8 or 10 times or 12 times your body weight through one side of your body. Okay, and it's kind of a unilateral sport. So even I would say, as if I'm getting into coaching at some point. So as a youngster, if you look at the people who've had the longest careers for India, are all people who have started cricket at the age past 10. So 10, 11, 12. Sachin Tendulkar, 12 years old. Rahul Dravid, 10 years old. Saurav Ganguly, I imagine, is about 10. Nobody started before that. Like people who've had the longest, like MS Dhoni, 10, 12 years old, maybe 14 even, right? So you look at all of these guys, they've all started a little late. So because cricket, in a sense, is a sport that uses opposite limbs. So if I'm a right-hander, I use my right leg as a base and my left leg as the dynamic movement, right? But as a right-hander, my left hand is my base as far as my hand is concerned. So cross-sectionally, I'm stronger than cross-sectionally here. So you're working opposite sides. So in that sense, biomechanically, you want to be able to, give your kid the chance to develop their base strength, and then perhaps make them start at an age where they have a chance of not sustaining injuries later on in their careers. They may not sustain anything now. And even with fast bowling, you don't want to put that kind of pressure on a kid who's 8, who's 9, who's 10, who's 11, who's 12. You want them to develop. And you have to understand that anyone who plays cricket from a young age, and a lot of parents don't understand this, right? They don't understand that, and they expect results from kids from the age of 10, 11, 12, right? That's not supposed to happen. Because, again, I'll digress into another topic. Let me stay with this topic. You're also growing. Physically, you're growing. So it depends on how tall you are, how short you are. Your bones are growing. So biomechanically, your action changes as you grow. So if you grow 6 inches, then your action changes. Biomechanics changes. So you want all of that to form. Now look at all the fast bowlers who played for India for a long time. I think Ishant is possibly the youngest, perhaps when he's 17, 18, he played for India, right? Test cricket. But he was also like fully grown by then. He hasn't grown any taller than he was when he started international cricket. Javagal Srinath started at 18. I think Kapil Dev started at 18, 19. Zahir Khan started at 18, 19. Ashish Nehra possibly started much younger, which is why we perhaps saw him go through a lot more injuries. Srishant started really young, a lot of injuries. RP Singh started 16, 17, 18, played for a long time for India. So you look at it, if you go back and just pay attention and assess people who've played, and then you look at it, and then you suddenly realize, oh, these guys started early, these guys started late. Okay, these guys had a lot of injuries, these guys didn't have a lot of injuries. They had long careers. And fast bowlers will go through injuries. It's just a part and parcel of the nature of the beast that is fast bowling. So with all-rounders, you will see that Irfan also started really young. By 17, 18, he was playing for India and started fast bowling at a very young age, at maybe 12, 13. So I saw a lot of injuries through his career as well, which also shortened his career in the sense. Hardik, the same thing, started young, bowling fast when he was really young. And so people say he's always injured. People don't realize that there's a reason for it.
You pay a price for being a fast bowler.
Yeah, there's a massive price paid. It is the genuinely, I would say, mentally, emotionally, physically, the hardest thing to do in cricket is fast bowling.
Yeah. I forgot what the bone is called, but we had a spine surgeon on the show. Basically, if this is your spine, at the base of your spine, there's your pelvis, and something that joins the pelvis and the spine is an arched bone like this. Like in fast bowling injuries, that's what breaks because of years of that.
Your L2, L3, L4, L5, those set of bones, the vertebrae, those vertebrae.
Yeah. And it's that arched bone. I forgot the name of it, but it's that whole region that gets wrecked because of the nature of bowling actions.
Also bowling actions, right? You need to like if you speak to a Brett Lee, or you speak to Zaheer Khan or an El Balaji, he was asked to bowl like that. And then the amount of force that he was putting through the body couldn't sustain the force that he was generating. And then they break down. And like if people actually go and understand what stress fractures are, like, oh, how is he out for 6 months? If people go and understand what stress fractures are, see, normal fractures happen like that, right? If a bone's like this, a normal fracture happens like this. It's broken like that. A stress fracture is if this is the bone, a stress fracture is when you have a crack like this. On a horizontal bone, you have it horizontally.
Someone got it.
So it's in the middle. So for that to fuse takes way longer time than a normal cross-sectional kind of fracture that happens.
Okay, slightly adjacent question. I'm sure you have non-cricket bros as well.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know how much you notice this, but I've always noticed that with all my bros, all the guys, and this applies to women as well, but everyone who's played a sport while growing up, their bodies look very different in the 30s and 40s. You can almost tell that someone's been an athlete. How much do you think the process of cricket changes a human being's body if they've played it in their childhood? And I ask that because of a very random reason. I was having a conversation with an ex-cricketer, and he told me that he believes that the process of training for cricket actually increased his height a lot while growing up. Do you think something like that happens? Does it actually change the kid's body?
It can happen. I think you when you play a sport, you give your body the maximum chance. You give your body the best chance to maximize your physical growth, right? And I think that's true, and it holds true across sport, right? If you play any sport, you give your body the best chance to maximize its growth, right? And I've seen that. And you've seen that across cricketers, and I've seen that across different sport. So in fact, my brother-in-law was not the tallest dude, but growing up, he had a wall bar at home, or he had a wall bar where he was practicing tennis. And through the usage of the wall bar, he was able to increase his height from what should have been, say, a 5'4", 5'5" to he's about 5'10", 5'11" today. So you can maximize growth
if you take the right steps while you're a teenager, a preteen, etc.
Yeah.
What was life like in your 30s? You're still in your 30s. You're 38.
Late 30s now.
But when you just turned 30, this is a conversation again I've been having a lot on the show, because even for the average guy, even non-athletes, something switches in your body post 30. Suddenly you're lifting a suitcase and your shoulder gets a little small niggle, and you're like, okay, that used to not happen even 2 years ago. So there's some change in your hormonal profile, which then leads to few more injuries than normal, and you suddenly realize, okay, I'm starting to age a little bit as a guy. And I spoke to KL about this as well, and he's like, yeah, even I'm noticing this a bit. Did you have any phase like that where you suddenly start getting injured?
Yeah.
How did you deal with that mentally? Because it's difficult even for someone like me who's not an athlete.
So how I dealt with it was I went through real life kind of experiences, because I between the ages of 25 and 30, I practiced a lot because I was going through a period of transformation of my technique. So I was pursuing the test cap because I haven't played test cricket, and I really wanted to, for me, I really want to play cricket, and for me that is the highest level of cricket, test cricket, right? And pinnacle of cricket, I would say. And for me, I want to play at that level, and I believed I was there, but I was pigeonholed at a very young age into being a white ball cricketer, and my technique also at that point had a lot of gaps. Even though I was scoring runs heavily in red ball cricket and Ranji Trophy, I was always picked for white ball cricket internationally when I played for India. maybe because at that time and the day and age we were in, the only person who was playing really aggressive cricket was Virubai. And UV, and to a large extent Mahi came along in 2007. So and the I think the underlying competition at that point with Sachin Tendulkar, Rahul Dravid, Saurav Ganguly, Virender Sehwag, Gautam Gambhir, Yuvraj Singh, VVS Lakshman, it was packed, you know. So I was lucky enough to make it to the white ball squad, but at that point wasn't able to make it to the red ball squad. And so I said, okay, let me give myself the best chance to pursue that. I don't know if it'll happen, but I want to pursue it. And I want to give myself the best chance to pursue it. So I said, okay, there's a gap in my technique. Let me put all of my efforts towards cleaning up that part of my cricket and scoring runs so heavily in red ball cricket that I will be noticed and I will get an opportunity. And that process or that pursuit began in 2012. I hired Praveen Amre as my personal batting coach, and we were mocked at that point because at that time the concept of personal coaches didn't exist anywhere in cricket. People had their childhood coaches, but they didn't have anyone they worked with day in, day out, or a trustee that they had in there as a part of their team, right? And that they could go and be vulnerable with and share their strengths, weaknesses, doubts, and kind of garner strength or, you know, even correction perhaps. In cricket, that didn't exist. Everything was more self-managed. I think Paji, in a sense, was ahead of the curve like that, Sachin Paji, because he had his brother. His brother was his mentor, coach, and someone he always spoke cricket with. I can't remember a lot of other cricketers having one person like that in their lives. So okay, you know, and I love tennis, so I've always followed tennis. So I was like, hey, in tennis, people always have their own personal coaches. And there's a reason that they have created, even though it's an individual sport, they've created their own team, right? I was like, yes, I'm playing a team sport, but it's also an individual sport if you look at it, because it's got so many skills within the team. There's an opening batter, there's a middle order batter, there's a all-rounder, then there's spinners, and there's fast bowlers. So different skills. So it's also an individual skill set. So cricket's also an individual game as much as it is a team sport. So for my individual skill, let me hire my team. So let me get my coaches on board. So Praveen Amre was someone that I've worked with in the past. So I was like, okay, sir, would you do it? I remember I was sitting in Spain at a bus stop and I gave him a call. I went on a holiday by myself after the 2012 IPL. I was in the top 3 run getters in the IPL, but our team came dead last. And I just wanted to switch off from cricket. And I was like, okay, I really want to, at that time, I just kind of began recovering from my clinical depression. And I, rekindled my passion for the game, the game.
Was this Pune Warriors India?
Yeah.
Okay, throwback.
Sahara Pune Warriors, yeah.
Go on.
And I was batting well, and I just found my passion for the game again. So that passion to play for India again was there. I was like, okay, I really want to make a comeback. And in that process, Sir was our batting coach then, and I was like, I really had a great rapport with him. And then I called up Sir. I was in Europe, and I remember sitting down in a bus stand in Spain, and I said, Sir, calling you from here, sir. I said, I remember I was joking with you about, and I actually joked about this with him in 2012 in the IPL. I said to him, one day he had asked me, one match against Mumbai Indians, I got out, where I had a big initial movement. And then the next match he said, Robin, just trust me, don't bat with an initial movement. Just bat. Just stand and just watch the ball and bat. And that match against RCB, I scored about 70 or some 35 balls. And then I said, after the match, I joked with him. I said, sir, maybe you should become my personal batting coach. You know how tennis players have personal coaches? You should become my personal batting coach. And he had a laugh about it. Cut to me being in Spain, I called him up and I said, sir, can you be my batting coach? He's like, okay, wait. Achrekar, sir, was still alive at that point in time. He said, let me ask my coach. And I said, okay, sir. He said, call me in 20 minutes. Then he went to Achrekar, sir, spoke to him. And Achrekar, sir, gave him his blessing. And he said, okay, you can coach. So then I called him back. He said, okay, I'll coach. So I said, this is exactly what happened. I still remember sitting in that bus stand. So I said, sir, you tell me your fees, sir. He said, Robin, you give me 1 rupee Guru Dakshina, that's more than enough. I said, no, sir. I said, you're adding value to my life. You also have a family. You also have kids. And if I get that for free, I probably on some level will not value it. I have to add value back. There has to be an exchange of value. At least the energy of exchange of value, you know. I said, so let's figure it out, but let's do it. And then we started then the first kind of professional one-on-one kind of coaching setup, so to speak, or personal coaching gambit in India. And we were ridiculed, initially, like, what is this whole thing and all that.
But it led to the KKR phase also.
Yeah, it led to everything. Like 2 years of work that went into that phase. It just was mad work. I abused my body. Like initially, Ranveer, I think as an adult, to unlearn something is harder than learning something new. And I went through the process of breaking myself down to my foundations as a human being and then rebuilding my game again from scratch. There were times, so many times, in that first 6 months of working with Praveen sir, where we stopped practice because I'm crying. I'm crying because I've forgotten what I've known naturally, that came naturally to me as an athlete. And I'm in the process of laying the foundation of learning something new. And I don't know if what I'm doing is right or wrong. And as an adult who's playing cricket at almost the highest level at that point in time, I'm pursuing a comeback into the Indian team. I'm top scoring in the IPL. I'm scoring runs in domestic cricket. To go through a phase where your domestic cricket is 2 months away and you don't know if the defense you're playing or if what you're doing is right or wrong. Number of sessions where Praveen sir said, it's okay, let's stop now. We'll come back again. It's okay. Because there were times he would push me to the point where he'd be hard, but he'd also be soft. He knew how to ply both sticks with me. And he did it so beautifully at that phase. I'm very grateful for him in that phase where he literally handheld me. And I said, sir, you travel me everywhere. Literally my first game. And I told sir, I don't think I should play Ranji Trophy this year. In 2012, I don't think I should play Ranji Trophy this year. I think I should wait for another year and play next year or play just white ball cricket. He said, Robin, I know you're only 20% ready, but trust me, with this 20% also, you'll score runs. Maybe you'll score runs a little slowly, but you'll score runs. And that season, Ranveer, I scored 720 runs. And for the first time in life, I scored 720 runs in 1,500 balls. One thing that became solid at that point was my defense. My defense became solid.
Which you initially learned in childhood.
No, like for me, I was the opposite. I didn't know how to defend. I'd only keep hitting the ball. I would just smash the ball. And like, so much so that even though like a lot of cricketers changed their ages, I didn't change. Even though I was playing legitimately, people thought I was overage. Because I'm also Kurgi. I'm half Kurgi, half Mallu. Very proud of both sides. So I think being a hybrid in that sense, an Indian hybrid in that sense, I was much bigger than a lot of my kids my age, much stronger. And for that, I was perceived as overage at a young age. And also because of the way I played cricket very aggressively. And people couldn't relate to how I was playing so aggressively while everybody else wasn't. There was a stark difference. So in that sense, it's slightly ahead of the curve. And so defending was not a part of my game at that point. Taking the attack on, being aggressive, dominating attacks was my game. And that's how I even played for India eventually. Because I stayed true with that. I learned defensive cricket from 2012.
Did the defensive cricket add value in your IPL stint with KKR?
Sure. As in a sense, not necessarily add value, but that 2 years of setting up my game again and building my game up from scratch, multiple beautiful things happened. One is I grew enormously as a human being. And I was doing all of this, mind you, when I was recovering from clinical depression. I was on medications, recovering from clinical depression. I was finding myself as a human being. I didn't know what I liked, what I didn't like. I promise you, I played for India and won a World Cup and all of that. It was all while not knowing myself at all as a human being. I was 21 when I won the World Cup. I was 20 when I played for India. I didn't know who I was as a human being. I was someone who just went with the flow. One thing I knew is I'll go with the flow. I know God will take care of me. I know I'll be taken care of. I know I'll do everything well. That's all I knew. I was very confident about those things. I didn't know what I liked as a human being. I didn't have values in my life. I didn't have principles in my life. I didn't have standards in my life. All of that started forming at this stage when I was recovering from clinical depression, reforming my batting from the foundations. I was discovering myself as a human being. Some of the hardest times in my life, but today when I look back, it's one of the times I'm most grateful for in my life because I evolved and formed as a human being then. I became me then.
This is what the average cricket fan doesn't understand about what one calls the orange cap.
Yeah.
This is what goes into getting
So
an
yeah,
orange
so
cap.
genuinely, for me, the orange cap was a byproduct of the work I put in for the 2 years prior. And I've kind of digressed into this conversation, but the abuse that I've put my body through in that phase is immeasurable. I was 25, 26. Bro, we finished the IPL in 2013 and I moved to Mumbai. I changed bases. I cut off myself from everybody, from my friends, from my family. I didn't speak to my mom and dad and my sister for 2 years. I did not speak to them on the phone for 2 years. I cut off myself from friends for 2 years. Like I had one friend, two friends. My wife, who was my best friend then, and another friend who had become my mind coach then.
Like a psychologist?
Yeah, it's like a mind coach. Because I knew everything I was going through. I needed someone to guide me with my mind. I needed to form the right thoughts, the right patterns, the right exercises, the right disciplines. So my brother-in-law actually, he was someone who worked very differently with, and he was a tennis coach. He was a national tennis player, and he worked with kids and worked with under 14, under 16, under 18 India number ones at that point in time. And he worked with them very differently, and I was like fascinated by the way he worked with people, worked with those clients. And then I was like just talking to him. I said, "Dude, would you mind working with me?" And he said, "Yeah, sure." And then he practically jumped ship and worked with me for like 3-4 years, 5 years till 2016, 17. He worked with me, and then we parted ways, and like helped me again discover a lot of things about myself, pushed me to like meet certain standards that Praveen sir perhaps wouldn't have pushed me to. Like there was a phase, like I finished the 2013 IPL and I moved to Mumbai because I like, okay, I want to fix this, because 2012, 720 runs in the in domestic cricket, in red ball cricket. Then I was the highest run scorer in Vijay Hazare, which is white ball cricket, one day cricket. T20 I didn't play. Went to 2013 IPL. No, T20 I played a little bit. 2013 IPL. 2013 IPL, again top 5 run scorers in the IPL, and I was like, okay, I have to get this test, make this comeback this year. And I said, okay, let's move to Mumbai and let's practice. Immediately after the IPL, moved to Mumbai, and lived here from 2013 to 2016. And in that time, started practice immediately. Went to MCA, hired the MCA because I'm not a Mumbai player. Hired the MCA, paid money, invested into my cricket. And these are things that cricketers didn't do, and a lot of cricketers still don't do. We all love freebies. Let me say that. They don't understand that, and I would love for youngsters to understand that the best investment you can make in yourself is in yourself. The best investment you can make for yourself is in yourself. Invest back into your cricket. And a lot of people don't understand that. Whether it's fitness, whether it's training, whether it's nutrition, whether it's cricket coaching, whether it's hiring a mentor or a batting coach or a bowling coach, invest into yourself, because those you will value, because you're investing into yourself. The investment that you make into yourself, you'll be the one person who will say, मैंने पैसे दिया है बेंच, मेरे को वापस चाहिए. I want something from this.
I would always assume that cricketers have these kind of conversations with each other. No? Is it just it's
predominantly
a lot of, but is there
it's very hard to have deep conversations with cricketers, because it's a very insecure world. So
we've heard.
It's a very, very insecure world. Especially in India, it's a very competitive world. So it's very hard for people to be real, for people to be vulnerable, for people to have deep conversations, because they're insecure of their spot. It's just the ecosystem. Even if someone isn't insecure, the ecosystem will drive you towards being that, because the competition, Ranveer, is so huge. It's like human nature. Where there is value, volume is less. Where there is volume, value is less. In India, volume is massive. Now today, Virat Kohli didn't play a 5-match series against England. We still won the series 4-1, and nobody missed Virat Kohli in that set, because there were Yashasvi Jaiswal who came up, Shubman Gill who came up, Rohit Sharma stood up. Like there were multiple guys, Bumrah who stood up, Kuldeep Yadav who stood up, Jadeja who stood up. Multiple guys stood up and performed. Quality is there. Quality हमेशा रहेगा हमारे देश में. It'll always be there. And that is why it makes the ecosystem very insecure. And to sustain yourself in the Indian cricket team, it is much more than just being a good cricketer. It's much more than just having the skills at a very high level. It's way more than that.
There's a people's game as well.
Phew.
There's sucking up.
Like you cannot imagine. Like you cannot imagine. It's you have to play the game. And kudos to the guys who can actually play the game. Because to have the wherewithal and the understanding to be able to play that game is incredible. I can tell you very honestly, I had no clue at 20 that needed to be done. I was very, like I said, in the flow. I was like, I wouldn't, today I'm friends with everybody in the fraternity, in a sense. Like I get on with everybody in the fraternity, right? I don't have close friends. I do have close friends, but for the most part, I get on with everyone, you know? And, but most cricketers will have really close friends, you know? I would say I have maybe 2 or 3, 4, if that. And it's a very, it's an ecosystem where it's not a very trusting ecosystem.
Because everyone's
Competing with each other.
It's an individual sport played in a team environment.
Yeah. That's what I said. It's such a dynamic sport that you play an individual sport within a team sport. And you need to learn to balance that in a very fine manner. And that line is very thin.
And this balance or this game, which is like the social game, happens in hotel rooms, happens on team buses.
Yeah.
Perhaps everywhere outside the field, the dressing room, etc.
Yeah, everywhere. And, you know, the guys who actually do it have longer careers. The guys who don't do it or don't know to do it or don't want to do it don't have such long careers. Case in point, I would say Ambati. Amba was one of them. Just played cricket for the love of the game. Did his business, got out. I was one of them. Played my cricket, got out. And even though some of my closest friends, like Mahi was one of my closest friends, Irfan's one of my closest friends, get on massively with Virat. All of these guys. But didn't, or one is I wasn't aware that needed to be done, perhaps, or I didn't do it, didn't want to do it also. I always believe that, okay, whatever I will play, I'll play by my own strength, by my own means. And very grateful to God that by doing that, I've won multiple IPLs, I've won a World Cup, I've been a part of Indian cricket teams that have had such famous victories that have changed the dimensions of Indian cricket. I'm very grateful to God for all of those experiences, and those are experiences I'll take to my grave. I won't exchange them for anything. I have no regrets whatsoever, in a sense, as far as what I've done in Indian cricket.
Okay, firstly, about what I'm about to say, I shouldn't be having an opinion, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here. One, I have not even played cricket on a coaching level, okay? But I've been a professional and I've spoken to professionals from all sorts of industries. I think this people's angle is there in like every industry.
For sure.
It's unfortunate that it's there in cricket, honestly, because it should be just...
It shouldn't, but if you look at it across the board, no, I mean, if you look at it, as in, it's there in the corporate world. It's there in every world. It's there in the film industry. It's there in the political world.
Yeah.
You need to suck up to grow up.
Yeah.
Up the ladder, right? And you need to have the wherewithal also to do it. And the conviction also within yourself, ki yaar, I'll do this and then it'll get me there. And to be comfortable to do it also. And some people aren't and some people are. And that's the way that they're built. If you're built that way, you're comfortable to do it, great. Yeah. It's fair enough. And at the end of the day, you have to understand, in sport, at least in my field, it's a short career. We don't have careers for 40 years or 50 years.
And you're very young.
Yeah. And we start really young. So if you're extremely lucky and you've had an extremely successful career, you've had a 20-year career. That's very rare. Very rare. If you've had a hugely successful career, again, very lucky, 15 to 20-year career. A normal career is 10 years. A decent career is 5 to 8 years. And you have to make it count, make break within all of that, yeah.
I want you to counter me about what I'm about to say.
Sure.
Or agree with me if for some reason you agree with me. I've traveled across the country because of YouTubing. Okay. I've spoken to a lot of military folks, and the military is sort of similar to sport in some ways, in terms of it's a combination of people from different parts of India. Okay, I'm just talking about this from an India perspective. India itself is a combination of many countries,
Yeah.
according to me.
Yeah.
Fair to say, like very culturally different, few things that tie us together.
Yeah.
I've noticed that every ethnicity has strengths and weaknesses.
Sure. Completely
Okay.
agree with you.
I'm half Punjabi, half Gujarati, and I've seen the strengths and weaknesses on both sides. Okay. But when you grow up, Gujarati got taught the value of money.
Yeah.
That's a core
Yeah.
aspect, and business. And when you grow up Punjabi, you're taught the value of social skills. That's a
Yeah.
big one.
Massive.
And projection. Like how to project yourself as cool. It's a part of Punjabi culture. I'm not even talking about the weaknesses on both
Yeah.
sides. I've always noticed since my history of remembering cricket, okay, since I've been watching cricket, there's always been a cohort of North Indians and Punjabis in the team. Okay. And I've honestly had a lot of South Indian bros in my life, and I've had these conversations with my South Indian bros. The South has always felt less represented in the Indian dressing room. I don't think that's a false theory. I think the Punjabi dudes know how to play the people's game. One, we're taught it. It's in our blood. We're taught to be a mahal-oriented
Sure, yeah.
unit. But I've always felt in cricket the South has been not as well represented as it could have been. I still feel that's true to a large
Yeah,
degree.
it is.
Is that chatter in the cricket world?
Well, I don't know how much it is there in the cricket world. I'll tell you what I've noticed. These are my observations of Indian cricket. In Indian cricket, there will always be representation from Mumbai.
Yeah.
There will always be representation from Delhi. And there will always be representation from Punjab. Go back 35 years and tell me one Indian team without representation from these three states. Right? Mumbai, because one of the reasons is that they deserve it in a sense because it's the mecca of cricket here in India. And I think it's got the best cricketing ecosystem perhaps in the world. I love it. Playing cricket in Mumbai is one of the greatest experiences of my life. Even today, if I'm in India and I'm practicing, I go to Shivaji Park and I practice. I love it there. Something about the soil there. Something that's there. The energy there is just so beautiful.
This land makes anyone more ambitious.
Yeah, I agree.
I think on
I
a
agree.
primal level, but go on.
And they've won 45, close to 50 Ranji trophies. So they deserve to have representation. And you always see that guys from Mumbai, in general, youngsters from Mumbai, have always had a longer rope than youngsters from any other part of the country. Now for guys from Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad, Maharashtra even, Madhya Pradesh, UP. How do these blokes get into the side? You have to, before the IPL came along, you have to win Ranji Trophy.
Win.
Not score runs. You have to win. For you to even be noticed, to be a part of the fray, you have to win Ranji Trophy. Anyone who understood this game at a young age have ended up having a long career. Look at any batter for India who's played for India for a long time and who scored runs, big runs. They've all been batters who've once scored runs for the team, but also known how to score runs for themselves. They set up their own base first. And in a sense, in cricket, you'll call it batsmanship. Yeah. But look at the guys from the South who played for a really long time, who scored hugely successful. All of those guys are guys who've known how to score runs for themselves and score runs for the team. Right? That's the only way they've been able to sustain themselves. Take all the greats from the south of India. The only way they've sustained themselves is to know to play cricket like how, say, people from the west of India play or people from the north of India play. Because there, yes, you're a people's person, but you know how to self-sustain as well. Now, cricket in the south of India is played very differently. Cricket in the south of India is played as a team sport. Right? Now the culture has changed. When I was a youngster, it was played as a team sport. It's a team sport. What can we do for the team? What can we do? Like, honestly, I had so many seniors growing up that would tell me, Robin, don't forget to score your own runs. Don't forget to score your own runs. don't forget to score your runs. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a team sport. I'm like, sir, I'll be like, bro, I'm like, no man, like I'll play for my team, we'll win and then we'll grow. Didn't happen. Now how did KL Rahul, Karun Nair, Manish Pandey, S. Arvind, Abhimanyu Mithun, all of these Karnataka boys, how did they play for India? When did they play for India? It's after we won Ranji Trophy. If we hadn't won Ranji Trophy, they probably wouldn't have got the look in. They would have probably been known because the IPL came about. But for representation to happen in the Indian team, you have to win Ranji Trophy. Like say from a kid from Kerala. The only, like I can tell you, there are five boys from Kerala today who can play for India. But they won't be noticed until they win a Ranji Trophy. Saurashtra. How did Jaydev Unadkat, some of the other boys come into the Indian team or make a comeback in the Indian team? He won Ranji Trophy as a captain for Saurashtra. Tamil Nadu. After Dinesh Karthik and Ashwin, tell me representation in the Indian team. They'll get to India A. Not much after that.
One of the reasons I brought up this whole conversation is because I'm a huge admirer of Sai Sudarshan.
Yeah.
I love him. And I want to see him keep playing for India. And Tilak Verma, for that matter. Two South boys. And whenever I see these guys bat, see, as a fan, I notice the expression, what's in their eyes. And these two guys are too focused and self-confident.
Another one you missed is Sai Kishore.
Sai Kishore is.
Dude, I love that kid. That kid, he's such a hugely improved cricketer. And I think he's one of the best left-arm spinners in our country. And I don't know why he's not playing every match of the IPL. I don't know. And for him, he's captain of the Tamil Nadu Ranji Trophy team. And I think they lost the semi-finals, the finals of the Ranji Trophy this year. I promise you, till they win Ranji Trophy, a serious look won't be given there.
So this thing you're talking about on the international level, where it is a social game as well, it applies to IPL teams as well?
Not necessarily. Not that much, because we're also dealing with a different dynamic of foreign players, foreign coaches. I think within the IPL, we haven't gotten out of the gambit of being obsessed with skin that is not ours, our color. We haven't gotten out of it yet. I promise you, there are incredible Indian coaches available, but we're just not looking at them. We're not giving them the attention, and the amount of money a franchise is willing to spend on a foreign coach, they're not willing to spend on an Indian coach. And I do not understand that logic. You're playing the Indian Premier League, right? You're playing predominantly with 25 players in the team. So you're playing with 17 Indian players and 8 foreign players. Who are you catering to majorly here? Your majority of catering is done to the Indian players. So you need a solid Indian coach there. Right? Now what teams are doing is they're having foreign coaches with an Indian mentor. But the Indian mentor is a great. Like an Indian great. Now, how much will a 17-year-old kid or an 18-year-old kid or a 20-year-old kid have the courage to go and have a conversation? Maybe today's generation, maybe the kids will, because they don't know these Indian greats as well as we do. But you want to have a perfect mix, then you have to have a blend of both. It has to be blended. Right now, the scale's too less on the Indian side. You need to have more Indian coaches there. You need to balance it. Because the communication, because a lot of us are Indian. You have to understand, to pursue a career of cricket in India, you can't pursue another career, not even education. Because the competition is that hard, man. So you can't pursue education. Tell me, like, the people who've completed education within our ecosystem, maybe 2%. The rest of us haven't. Like 98% of us haven't completed our education. We've learned and upskilled ourselves along the way to speak well, to speak eloquently, to communicate well. All of that we've learned along the way. And while you play sport, you grow. There's a lot of depth that happens. Growth of depth that happens. Growth doesn't happen vertically. Growth happens more horizontally, and growth happens within. So if a lot of work's put into language and how to communicate that, people can articulate it. Otherwise, they can't. So a lot of people can articulate beautiful things, not perhaps in English or not perhaps in Hindi, but maybe in Gujarati or Punjabi or Haryanvi or Bengali.
Most people are 12th standard passes, right?
Yeah, if that.
Not even 12th pass.
If that. 12th is quite high for cricket. I'd say 10th standard, 9th standard, they'll give up and they're like, okay,
Damn.
pursue this completely.
Okay. The guys who complete their undergrad and all, like Ashwin's an engineer. I think Anil Kumble was an engineer. Does it make a difference to the game?
Yeah. Like I've graduated and finished college and I feel like it's given me a sense of confidence and a well-roundedness, and especially after cricket, that I did not have or I would not have had. And I got to credit my mum for this, because when I went to, it was 2007. I was playing the Cricket World Cup 50 over World Cup in West Indies when my examinations were happening for my final year BCom. And my mom says, I don't care if you won a World Cup, you have to go and finish your education. And I went the following year in 2008 in April, and I gave my supplementals. So I went and gave my arrears and supplementals, and I passed.
It makes you analytical about your own game, perhaps.
Yeah,
that's what.
Maybe that as well. But for me, it just gave me a sense of confidence that, and a sense of well-roundedness, to be honest. I can't define it, so to speak, but a sense of well-roundedness that perhaps I wouldn't have had, where if it would have made me feel like, yeah, I came till there and I didn't finish it, But I got to give credit to the guys who actually choose to give it up at 9th standard, 10th standard, and say, okay, I'm going to pursue this full time, and then do my best to upskill myself along the way. It takes a lot of effort, individual effort, to be able to do that, and a lot of the boys do that, and it takes a lot, to develop that confidence. And sport, in a sense, helps you develop a lot of that confidence. A lot of it is a lot of effort off the field.
Random question, but you know how in the NBA they have this problem about how retired players are not able to handle their finances well. Is that a problem at all in Indian cricket?
Thank you for asking this question. It's a problem that nobody speaks about. Again, because it's such an insecure world, they don't trust their fellow cricketers. They don't trust to have like honest and vulnerable conversations with each other about finances, that this doesn't happen. They're not educated. Now, come on, like think about it. For a 17, 18-year-old kid who's coming into crores and crores of rupees at a young age, or 20 years old, 21 years old, if you don't educate them, and how much would it take to educate them, to teach them about finances? What are investments? What are stocks? What are mutual funds? Where do you put it? What are long-term investments? What are short-term investments? Just the basic things. How much would it take for BCCI perhaps to just take the onus to protect the youngsters? Because you're helping them earn that much money. You can help them maximize it also, right?
I think the NBA was having such a huge problem with exactly this, that they created a whole department to do exactly this, like a bit of a portfolio management service built by the NBA.
Yeah, I would like, for me, because I would love to do that. I would love to help cricketers understand. I've burnt so much of my money, man. Like I've burnt so much of my money growing up. When I was the second highest paid IPL player, I made so many bad investments. I had nobody to handhold me at that point to say,
what was a bad investment?
Don't ask, dude. Not worth getting into. I actually got into this. I went through a transformation also at that point in time, in that phase where I lost a lot of weight, and I went from being like 98, 99 kilos to 78 kilos. And really kind of like the transformation was complete. Cricket, personal life, physically, everything. So in that phase, I worked with a nutritionist. So I don't know if you met with him, Ryan Fernando.
Yeah.
So Ryan was my nutritionist at the point in time. So Ryan and I came up with this concept of saying, okay, let's do something that adds value to society. And I said, I'd really love what I've gone through for other people to experience. And let's start perhaps something that is a service of some sort that we can give back to society. And we came up with this calorie counted meal packages for people with comorbidities. Pre-diabetes, diabetes, heart patients, hypertension, blood pressure, cancer, all of it. And we did a lot of research, a lot of work went into it. And we started something called iTiffin. And it did exceptionally well. And it did exceptionally well initially. But unfortunately, we had the CEO of the company was a little bit of a crook, kind of was fleecing money, taking money underneath, and then just ran the company dry. So in that sense, we were also ahead of the curve, because we did what Cult Fit were doing in 2016-17. We started in 2012. Calorie counted meal packages, different cuisines, Indian, Chinese, continental, and was doing fairly well. And again, logistically, we had some challenges, because logistically is also Zomatos of the world, Swiggies of the world, or the Dunzos of the world weren't there in the world at that point in time.
What I'm respecting here is you still attempted a startup.
Yeah.
When you said bad investment, I was visualizing LV Jute.
No.
Because
No, so
I've been told this by some of my older cricket bros that the younger guys spend a lot on LV shoes.
that's now, I'd say, because I think the generation that we live in, what do you call it? The alpha generation now, is it? Or
Gen Z.
the Gen Z? I think they, and also I don't necessarily blame them. I think it's just the world, it's the way the world functions today, and the narratives that have been set, that you have to show off what you have, you have to flaunt your money, you have to show off a good car, you have to do this, you don't have to do that. I can tell you, I spent a good chunk of money on my marriage. If I had the wherewithal that I have today, I would have just done a court marriage and saved that money for my wife and my holidays for the next 10-15 years. You know, and that would have been, and I also spent money on maybe throwing a massive party for my closest friends instead of making a big shusha about it and designer clothes and 5-star hotel, 7-star hotel receptions and all that. It's a one-day thing. It doesn't add value to your life beyond that one day. You can actually have a massive party with your friends and have the same memories that will last forever, because those are the memories that will last forever, rather than actually spending so much money on an elaborate marriage.
Who are your tightest bros in the cricket world?
Mahi, Irfan, RP, Ambati, Piyush, Suresh.
On a deeper level with these 6 guys, what did you bond about? What was the brotherhood about?
It was just pure love, man, because we were all the same age, coming through the ranks, and we got to know each other. And
similar struggles?
Not necessarily. We all came from different backgrounds. I would say a lot of the boys from, say, Jharkhand, say from Ranchi or from UP, Raebareli, Lucknow. Irfan was from Baroda. Piyush was from Meerut. Meerut, I think. Was it Meerut or... Suresh is from Ghaziabad. I came from Bangalore. So different parts of the world, right? So we came together and just found, I don't know what, the chemistry was just great. We just got on beautifully. There was a love for each other that just developed over a period of time. And there were differences. We all had differences with each other, but we were able to get over those differences and still sit down and have a conversation, have that love for each other, have that concern for each other. And those are, those are deep friendships, yeah. And today I meet Mahi maybe twice or thrice a year, but every time we meet, I meet Irfan a lot more often than I meet Mahi. Or even Amba, I meet a lot more, not as often, but a little bit more often than I meet Mahi. But every time we meet each other, it's like we pick up exactly where we left off the previous time. And the conversations are incredible. They're fun. We become little boys again. Banter, there's there's all of it, bro. It's fun.
I don't know. I have this very old memory of, I don't even remember who. I think it was MS Dhoni who spoke about backbenchers. You all used to sit at the back of the bus. Is that true? Like that's where the brotherhood formed.
We were the backbenchers.
Right. In that team with Sachin Paji and all these
of us. Yeah. We were the backbenchers. And we were like, we were not bad boys. It's not like we were party guys and all that. We were just like, some of my fondest memories with this group is in the 2007 World Cup in South Africa. Every day, one of these 5 rooms or 6 rooms, we would sit down and have a meal together. It would be RP, Piyush, me, Irfan, and one more was there, Mahi. So 5 of us sit together and we have a meal together. The meal would be 1 dal makhni, 1 butter chicken, 1 jeera aloo, naan, rice. That's the staple order. And we'd sit down and literally like a community sit down and just eat together.
Ever discuss cricket in that?
Yeah,
group?
a little bit, not much, but a little bit.
About the upcoming games.
Because even the skills were so largely different from each other, right? And also you have to look at Irfan and RP were also competing with each other because both left-arm fast bowlers. So there are a lot of those mini dynamics that happen within the squad as well, right? You might be really close friends, but you're also competing with each other. So how do you balance that? And these are complexities that not necessarily everyone talks about or even voice. They voice it. They don't even voice it.
Because the media can pick it up and turn it into a media storm.
It can be manipulated into anything, right? So a lot of these things and a lot of these narratives are very much alive.
Without taking names, have you ever had to separate bros from getting into a fight?
No.
Never come to that.
No, never come to that.
But there have been heated arguments.
Debates. I wouldn't call them arguments. Debates for sure, but not fights. Fights. Irfan and I would have. Bro, he and I were like. Yusuf says both of us are like husband and wife. We can't live. We can't live without each other, but we can't stand each other also. So
even now.
Now it's a lot better. But the guy, he and I, we fight. We fight a lot, but the love we have for each other is immense. We'll always look after each other's backs, and he's a very sharp individual. He sees things that people don't perceive, while at the same time he's got the purest heart. Very straightforward. We'll call it as it is. He'll be upset with me, and then he won't talk to me for like 2 months, and be like, dude, what happened? Like, I'm upset with you. Like, you should have known by now. I'm like, what? How would I know if you don't tell me? You did this. You didn't call me. I'm like, okay, sorry. There were times where even in the Indian team, like playing in Pakistan, I remember, and the Asia Cup was happening, and then I was having something, and then he was making fun of me. He was calling me Genda or something. He was just teasing me, calling me fat or whatever. And it just got to me. You're taking your stride for a while. You're taking your stride. And after a point, I'm like, bro. I got angry. I got very upset with it. And I pushed him, and then we just separated, and we went. I didn't talk to him that day. And then the next day, I met him in the lift, and I was going to the gym, and I think he was coming back from the gym and going to the gym or something. I said, hi, bro. And he looked at me and just looked away. And he didn't talk to me. I said, what the man? I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to talk to you. Then we didn't talk for like 4-5 days on that tour. We didn't talk. And then on the 5th day, he came and put his arm on me. How are you, bro? What's happening? And then we were fine. Just like that.
Bro talk.
Yeah, it was just that. Yeah, and the number of times we've had that, oh my gosh, it's like it never ends. We're married with kids, and we still go at it.
Every guy watching this is relating with this situation right now. You're talking about it like your bros, but for all the cricket fans, these are superheroes. Yeah. Like yourself, Irfan Pathan. Like you guys are a set of bros. For us, you're all the Avengers.
Yeah.
Like my memory is Shrishant taking that catch and then opening my living room window and screaming out of my living room window, India. Yeah. That's what a lot of kids in the neighborhood were doing in 2007. You all created that in the country while eating jeera rice, butter chicken back in that hotel room.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions I have about 2007.
Sure.
So with respect to 2007, there's a clip that's going viral lately about MS Dhoni telling Ravi Shastri in the post-match presentation after the match against Australia that I read an article you wrote on a website about the team and how we are not favorites, and here we've beaten Australia. And it was kind of like we believe in ourselves. It was a very young team. Did you guys give yourself a chance in the group stages, or as the tournament went on, you'll realize what you guys are doing? Because we've not won a T20 World Cup since then.
So, one of the things we did really well that year, Ranveer, is that very categorically decided as a team that this is new. So let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's take just one game at a time. And let's look to learn as much as possible and have fun. Right? So pressure's off immediately. You're not looking too far ahead. You're looking only to the next game. And our first game was against Scotland, which got washed off. The second game was against Pakistan, and the thought of, we've never lost to Pakistan in the World Cup. We don't want to lose to Pakistan in the World Cup. So that was the motivation for that game. And that was a humdinger of a game, bro. Like imagine from being 19 for 4, we put up 158 and they need 2 runs to win on the last over. Srishant bowls magic and then UV gets the run out in the end. Oh my God, that's stuff of fucking dreams, bro.
And there's a bowl out.
To top it all.
Were you all thinking clearly during the bowl out? Like
I was still clear.
This is what you're going to do.
Yeah. So basically, I've told this story like I think 1,000 times. I'll tell it again. So we had this, and I have to give credit to Venkatesh Prasad for this. Okay, Venki read the playing conditions, and think very few people from other teams read the playing conditions as or at least Pakistan didn't. And they told us, and he said, okay, you know what? We'll play this game as a warm-up game. So after we finish our warm-up and we finished our training, warm-up and all that, we'll play this as a game, batters versus bowlers. So in the nets, bowlers would go up against batters. And amongst the batters, Virubai, me and Rohit Sharma were the ones who were hitting it most often. So when the bowl out thing came out, I went to Mahi and said, bro, I have to bowl. So he looked at me, maybe 2 seconds Ranveer. So he looked at me and said, okay, fine. And I put my name in. So first name, second name, third name was me. So like, okay, and I bowled and it all got over. And then we, Bajupa bowled first, Virubai bowled second, or vice versa. And then I bowled third. And then we didn't have to bowl the fourth because by then we'd won. And
Were you all surprised that the Pakistanis weren't hitting the stumps?
yeah. No, yes and no. Because one is they chose their fast bowlers and their fast bowlers were bowling off short run-ups. And then Afridi was the third one who bowled. So when a fast bowler is bowling from short run-up, the rhythm's not there. The direction, just the rhythm's not there, man. And then when the rhythm's not there, you're going to be a little wayward. And it's just 3 stumps. And one of the things Mahi did really well that time is he sat behind the stumps. Like he didn't even keep. There, Kamran Akmal was keeping beside the stumps. Here, Mahi was sitting, was kneeling down on his haunches in front of the stumps, right? So it's like, you bowl to me. So you hit the stumps. Like these are small things that he does, right? And in hindsight, when I think about it, when I've thought about it, I'm like, why did Mahi say yes? And I suppose, I haven't even spoken to him about this, but I suppose, actually I'll ask him at some point, that when I went to him and I asked him that, hey, I want to bowl. He looked at me. I remember him looking at me and he got dead serious for a couple of seconds. He said, okay, you bowl. I suppose he thought, if I have a youngster backing himself to do something that none of my other guys are putting their hand up for themselves, then he must really have confidence in his ability. Let me back that. For me, from a leadership point of view, that's a massive lesson. Whether you're in the corporate world, whether you're playing a team sport, whether you're anywhere, whether you're leading your own team here, right? If someone says, hey, I'll do it. And if you back that, you say, okay, do it. I'm here with you, do it. There's a sense of confidence that you're giving the person who's already very confident. The rate of success or the chances of him being successful are way more than someone would be like, I don't know if I should do it. If they tell me to do it, I'll do it. And for me, that is when I thought about it, it's like, hey, that's a great lesson to share, with perhaps leaders or team leaders or cricket team leaders or sport leaders or in any walk of life, CEOs, CXOs, whatever. So it's a great lesson. I feel, and that is the one thing I take away from that. When I share this story, that's one thing I constantly take away is like, hey, there's a great leadership lesson. And perhaps his leadership skills kind of started from there. Maybe that's where he started trusting his instinct. Maybe those are the aspects that made him trust his instincts so much as a captain. And one of the things I've asked him is like, how does it work for you as a leader? He's like, I don't mind failing on my terms. Like, I know I have great instincts and I don't mind being wrong 4 times out of 10. But 6 times out of 10, if I'm right, I'll be serving my team. And he's right 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10. He's wrong. And honestly, the guy exercises living in the present so much. I think he channelizes the divine.
He can see the future.
See the future, but I think he channelizes the divine. And I wouldn't say seeing the future, but I feel like he gets information that serves him at the present moment. He can't see the future. I don't think he can. I think he's able to stay so much in the present and channelize that. And he consciously exercises that as a human being. Right? For a guy who gets so much attention, so much love, the poor fellow's a loner, yeah. Spends the predominant part of his time is spent being alone in a hotel room, spending a lot of time alone. And in that time, the way he exercises that time is also very beautiful. Like he plays a lot of games that keep him in the present. He goes through a lot of these things that help him stay in the present. He exercises that consciously as a human being, which is what enhances the work or the calls that he made as a leader in the past.
Is he a meditator?
No.
Not at all.
Bro, he lives life in the present. You don't need to meditate if you're living life in the moment, right?
Deeply mindful.
he is uber conscious. Like in the sense, like he's just there all the time. Promise you, he's got the fastest wit. You think his stumpings are fast? His wit is faster. Super fast. I think cuts you.
Has he changed over the years?
No.
Same guy.
It's the same the same guy I met in 2004. It's the same guy today.
Did you see a captain in 2004?
You saw an independent thinker. You saw an independent thinker for sure. He had his own way of doing things. I remember we did Greg Chappell took us to this, before the 2007 World Cup, took us to this place somewhere in Bangalore where it was a team building place where, you get together with your team and you do team building exercises. And he was made the leader of one group. And the solutions he came up with was like, quick. And then, the team that he was leading won things. So I remember that part. I was like, hey, this fellow thinks just differently. It's very tangent, very adjacent to normal, regular thought. And that's when I saw, okay, he's an independent thinker. He's got his own thoughts. And then when you talk to him about life, you talk to him about, in general, about a lot of things, it's very practical, very in the present, very, very precise with his thought process, and can be to the point as well, very curt and like to the point, in your face, on the nose, so to speak.
You know how there's a narrative about no other wicketkeeper during the Dhoni era getting as many chances because of MS Dhoni's presence. Do you think that is true for possible captains as well? Like, did we miss out on seeing another great captain just because of Dhoni Bhai's presence?
Not necessarily. Leaders in that time, maybe Gauti, very similar captains, genuinely. Always, like, these are guys who are always one or two overs ahead of the game when they were leading on the field. So I would say Gauti and Mahi, for me, are very similar captains. I can't think, maybe Virubai, UV, perhaps UV, because I think it was between UV and Mahi. I think Mahi got the call. Yeah, I can't think of anyone else. And then he handed it over to Virat when he felt he was past it. I thought Rohit got it a little late. He should have got it much earlier. And I felt like he deserved it much earlier. But I think transition of power also has its ways. But yeah, I think I don't think anyone missed out in that sense. But the ones who missed out is the ones who have named.
How was Yuvraj Singh in the dressing room? How was his presence?
I love UV. UV is... I genuinely love UV because I've seen UV pre-cancer, post-cancer, and they're two different individuals. But at the heart of it, the same people.
Inner child very much alive.
Very much alive. Like, he will intimidate the crap out of you and then he'll look at you and laugh. I'm like, do I take this man seriously or not? What the is he doing with me? UV is like that. I love UV. UV, Bajupa, Virubai. And I love Virupa because straight. He's straight. He'll call it as it is and he'll call it to you on your face. Gauti is the same. Bajupa, very funny. Hilarious. You've again, he's an elder brother. He was like an elder brother. Really looked after me when I first initially came into the team. Always kind of encouraged me to play and push myself to be my best. Looked out for me when I was going through some difficult times. Reached out, checked in on me from time to time. So
because he was also silently going through something.
No, this is before all of that happened.
I think even before cancer, he said this on the show that he's like, silently I was going through a lot, but I didn't understand it was a mental health situation.
Yeah, maybe even that. And I love UV. As in, UV is someone I always have time and space for my heart, and someone I've looked up to, who's been an inspiration, and who I truly admire.
I have to talk about KKR's title-winning team. Starting with this question, which is that how big a role do team owners play in a franchise's success? Because now IPL's been around for a while, and there've been some franchises which have never won, and there've been some that constantly get success, or at least compete. There's got to be something that the management in these positive franchises that's going right. And
tell you what they do.
Vice versa.
They stay off. They stay out of cricket.
They let cricket captors handle cricket.
Yeah. So Shahrukh Bhai was never involved with any decision making. He gave everything to Gauti, and Gauti just led the team. He navigated that ship. His call was the last call, and Gauti led the team beautifully. Like all the things, all the ingredients to have a good team. One, he had the players. Two is everything you need to do as a captain to provide the atmosphere for a person to feel secure and perform. He created. That's something that Mahi and Gauti have very much in common. He created an atmosphere where if he backed you and backed you to the tilt, right? He was there with you. I remember he and I had a disagreement in the initial part of that in that 2014 IPL where I was coming off a great run. Again, we won the Ranji Trophy, top scoring Vijay Hazare, came straight into the IPL. So we won Vijay Hazare also. Not just top scored, we also won Vijay Hazare. We won Ranji Trophy. So massive confidence, huge. And I was batting well. By then, those 2 years of work had set in place and it became muscle memory now. It was my nature then. So
you were confident you'd get the orange cap?
No. But I like honestly, you know, when I joined the KKR side, they picked me up as a middle order bat who could keep. I wasn't picked up as an opening bat. So initially in the first 4 games, unfortunately, Gauti also went through a bad run where he got 3 zeros in 4 bad runner scores. And the team was getting off to bad starts and we were like 20 for 2, 20 for 3 and I went into bat and was doing repair jobs and we were doing it fairly well. And in the first 5 matches, I had 250s and one game I didn't have a score. One game I got for 0, one game I got 22, but we still won that one game against RCB. In that first 5 matches, we won 1 game in the Dubai leg. And in the Dubai leg, I went to Gauti and I said, maybe there was my error there. I went to Gauti and said, bro, let me open the batting. I'll get the team off to a great start. I promise you'll get the team off to a great start. Then I went to Vijay Dahiya, who was the coach. I went to W.V. Raman, who was the batting coach. I went to Wasim Akram. I went to Venki Mysore. I went to everyone and said, so let me open the batting. I'll get the team off to a good start. I'm very confident I'll get the team off to a good start. Then Gauti came to me and said, Rob, we picked you up as a middle order bat. You will not open the batting you'll never open the batting for KKR. Because in 2012, Jacques and him and Bisla opened. And he had kept that same pair. His perception was, that is my 3, which I'm going to provide security to. That works. I'm not going to change it. And that is where he was coming from. I said, okay. And I didn't push it. Then we went to Delhi. Then we went to Ranchi. We had a game we had a game in Delhi. And then in that Delhi game, I think we lost. And then again, I was batting in the middle order. And then the next game was in Ranchi. So we had won 1 out of 6. And we had to win the next 7 on the row. 6 out of 7 for us to win, to qualify to the knockouts. And I think I scored some runs in Delhi also. And then the conversation came where Venki Mysore and Gauti, I think, had a conversation. Gauti called me to his room and I went to, and then he said, okay, you're going to open the batting with me. And at that point, I even apologized to Gauti because I may be kind of, as in that exuberance of wanting to serve the team, I overstepped my boundary of, speaking to multiple people about it. I should have gone to Gauti and had sit down with him one-on-one, which I didn't do. In hindsight, that was my error. And so I apologized to him and then we opened the batting together. So Gauti got 30, 40 odd in that game. I got a 47 in that game. We got a 70-run opening partnership and we won that game, I think, against CSK. Then we went to played Rajasthan in Ahmedabad in the old stadium. And then Gauti and I opened batting together. We scored 120 for no loss. And then 121 for 1. Then 124 for 6. And then we lost the game. We were chasing 140 against RR. That crash and burn game. And then we started opening batting together. And then there was just no looking back for 4 years after that. It was just incredible, like, chemistry. And we always had great chemistry. So I knew that, and because we'd opened the batting for India A before that, we opened the batting for India before that, and we always had great chemistry. We ran really well between the wickets. We trusted each other's calls. So that relationship was formed like in stone. So for me, I never got into the tournament thinking of the orange cap. I got into the tournament thinking, I want to win this, man, for KKR. I want to win this for KKR, But then everything just transpired in such a beautiful way, and nobody really got involved. Venki was not necessarily. Venki Mysore at that point, so was involved to the extent of playing peacemaker in the sense. So he was very nice with me, and he was very nice with Gauti, and managed everything really well. So that role he played exceptionally well. He was a great CEO at that point in time. And Gauti led the team beautifully after that. I think there was only 1 year we didn't qualify after that. Every year we qualified. Every year we came first or second. We were runners-up in Champions Trophy. We finished second and third. Third in 2 years after that in the IPL. And then Gauti's form was dwindling. In hindsight, Gauti's skills, and I think that happens, in Indian cricket, where you don't value someone's leadership qualities as much as you value their skills. And I think that is something that CSK do so well, that they will not exchange his leadership skills for anything, right? And I think that's what, in a sense, for me in that 2014 season was that a lot of errors, but a lot of making up, a lot of healing that happened along the way during that course. And Gauti provided that kind of atmosphere, because he could have very easily not provided that atmosphere, right? He could have been a typical Delhi guy. Gauti looks like a typical Delhi guy, but is not a typical Delhi guy. He's a very soft-spoken, gentle, like a very gentle soul. One of the things that Gauti would constantly, when you're sitting down with him, if you're just chilling with him, you're like, Robin, kya lagta hai? Like, kya lagta hai is his staple thing.
Like, what's up?
Yeah, like, kya lagta hai? What do you think about this? Kya lagta hai? I'm thinking about this. Kya lagta hai? That's the thing that Gauti, that's how he speaks. That's generally a one-on-one conversation be like that. Now he may be different. I think a lot of evolutions happened. But Gauti, as a youngster growing up through the ranks, he was like that. Very sweet guy, soft-spoken, gentle, and provided security to the group. I remember in that 2014 season, Lala Yusuf was not having a great season. But he backed Yusuf to the hilt, bro. What he did was, and how did Yusuf repose that faith? We needed to win to qualify for in second position. We needed to win under 14 overs. We needed to chase 180 or something. And Lala went, scored 72 or 14 balls or something in that game. And those kind of performances happen when a captain's got your back, when your team's got your back, and you feel it. And you feel like, my team's got me. I got to deliver. When human nature, when you are insecure, you operate through survival mode. When you are secure, you operate through thriving mode. You want to thrive. So when security is there, you're thinking evolution, thriving, pushing yourself, winning. But when you're survival, you'll be like, when you don't have security, you're like, I need to survive. I need to live for another day. That is human mentality. So when you take that to sport, it accentuates.
This exact concept you're talking about, where security provides a sense of calm and calm provides a sense of growth.
Correct.
And I hate saying this, what I'm about to say next, okay? Firstly, because I'm a Mumbai Indians fan. Secondly, because I'm a Rohit fan. Thirdly, because I'm a Hardik fan as well. But that cocktail right now is not working. I went for the CSK game. I've gone for a game almost every year since the inception of the IPL. There was a difference in the energy of the Mumbai Indians.
Yeah, that's because I have a question.
The fans are also a part of it.
Yeah, since you're a fan, I'm going to ask you. Yeah. Whose perception are you looking at this whole situation from?
Honestly, after going for the match and seeing the team in front of me, it was different. The energy of the team collectively, I felt, because that's what you sense in the stadium as a fan. Teams give out a certain kind of consciousness. I felt it was different and not as mature as Rohit's team from last year. I do feel like the team is a little broken. At least that's the sense I get on the outside. But I feel that the brokenness...
That's a macroscoping point of view. What I'm asking is, from a fan's perspective, okay, this whole narrative that's happened with Rohit and Hardik in Mumbai Indians, whose perception or what perception are you looking at it from?
I think there's arguments on both sides, firstly.
There are three sides here.
Third side being?
Mumbai Indians.
Management.
Yeah, the franchise.
So, in order to bat for them, I'd say that it's a successful franchise. They probably have a vision of what they want to do.
Yeah, so to actually perceive this correctly or neutrally, you need to perceive it from three different directions. One is Mumbai Indians, the franchise. One is Rohit Sharma, the player and the captain. One is Hardik Pandya, the player and the captain. Right? Okay, let's look at the Mumbai Indians perspective. Mumbai Indians, if they made the decision to say, okay, we want Rohit to make way for Hardik Pandya, because Hardik Pandya is their discovery. At the base of it, they discovered, them and Rohit Sharma discovered Hardik Pandya through the scouting, through the scouting methods, right? So you got to give credit there. So they're essentially looking at a pure Mumbai Indians boy from their perception.
Yeah.
1. 2. When captaincy was given to Rohit Sharma, it was taken away from someone like Ricky Ponting and given it to Rohit Sharma in the middle of a tournament. Same franchise, not a different franchise. And all these guys who were there supported Rohit Sharma. Right? Harbhajan Singh, Sachin Tendulkar, Ricky Ponting, all backed it. Yeah, for whatever reason. Third, in the last 4 years, statistically, I'm never going to question the caliber, the gloriousness of Rohit Sharma, the batter. Okay? I will never question it. I'll be remiss in every sense of the word as an athlete I'm not questioning it. But look at it statistically from a Mumbai Indians perspective, franchise perspective. Last 4 years, team won 2020. 3 years they didn't win. In the last 3 years, he scored less than 300 runs as a batter. So, lack of success as a captain, lack of success as a batter. In just the IPL. Because everywhere else he scored runs. As a captain of the Indian team also, he scored runs. So, there's a reason they landed on this.
Give Hardik the captaincy.
No, they've landed on this consensus of, okay, maybe you have to look beyond Rohit. And when this decision was even conversed, the consensus came upon was maybe last year, at the end of last season. So maybe they were following through and maybe they immediately had conversations in different directions. And then Rohit Sharma's success happened in the World Cup. I think his gloriousness and greatness as a captain and a player came through. I've always believed Rohit is one of the best captains India have had. He's a lot like Mahi. And he's evolved himself to become a lot like Mahi. And that takes a lot of work. And I'm not really close to Rohit. I would say he's an acquaintance more than a friend. But just noticing him from the outside, I feel like these are the things I've noticed. I've noticed constant evolution. I've noticed him on the team, with the boys. I've noticed him in press conferences. I've noticed him while batting. I've noticed his nature and his attributes while fielding and while leading the side. Wears his heart on his sleeve. Lovely. We got used to that with Virat. The other guys wouldn't wear their heart on their sleeve. Mahi was stone cold. Virat wore his heart on his sleeve and then some. Rohit wears his heart on his sleeve in his own way. And that's fine. I love it. Right? But he looks after his players, provides security, consistency. The standards of playing for India are different compared to what it was when Virat was captain. So there's backing. There's conversations had. For the most part, right? Every captains have their favorites and not so favorites and preferred and not preferred and all of that. It's human nature. That's going to be a part and parcel of every Indian cricket team, every sport team, every corporate house, all of that, right? So if you look at this combination, so these conversations began last year. So they were following through these conversations. And then the success of his captaincy happened and the World Cup happened. So the narrative was thrown up in the air and like it was yet to land. But for Mumbai Indians, it landed last year itself. Perhaps it landed last year itself. So from their thought process and their perspective, they felt they were right. Right? And if you look at it strictly from how they operated before to how they operated now, it's the same. It's not different. They've been consistent. So how can you fault them? Right? If I had to nitpick, I'll come to that nitpicking bit later. Remind me because I might lose my trail of thought. Now let's look at it from Hardik Pandya point of view. This is a guy who's got the caliber and the potential of an all-time great for Indian cricket. He was let go by his team, the team that discovered him. Okay. And he went to another franchise. After winning 4, 5 titles with them. 4 titles with them, perhaps. Right? He went. So he must have felt a little bad. That will be there. Then he would have been like, then he went to Gujarat Titans, won a championship, runner-up in another, almost won 2 championships. Then the conversation began. And he's very cognizant of the fact that he's got a brittle body. Because he's been playing from a young age. The conversation we had earlier about how bodies break when they start from a younger age. That's his situation. And look at him. His body is not built in a sense. He's a wiry guy. He's not built to sustain the kind of force he puts through his body. You have to understand that from an athletic point of view, you have to understand that. Okay. So that's his reality. He lives life loudly and that's who he is. I think he's a highly misunderstood individual.
Yeah.
He's an incredibly lovable human being. People misunderstand. Okay. He wears his heart on his sleeve. Doesn't have finesse as a human being. Like he's very
Raw.
Right? That's the word. Uncut. Right? He's very uncut. And, but he's a diamond. As a human being, very, very, very sweet. Okay. I have a lot of time for him. And a very dear friend. And this guy knows, well aware of, okay, his time span maybe in cricket is this much. Okay. The mockery, the trolling, the memes about his fitness. You don't think it hurts him? It hurts him. It hurts any human being.
Yeah.
But the reality of it, the depth of it, how many people actually know?
You know what? Did you see that clip of Kevin Peterson saying that I've been there? He's like smiling too much in interviews.
Yeah.
That's where my heart went out to Hardik.
Yeah, because I can tell you now that Hardik is dealing with mental health issues for sure.
Yeah.
It is not, it is, and people, and I'm telling you, we as a people, I understand as Indians, we're emotional people, but it is not right to impose this kind of treatment on any human being. It is just not right on any level. It is unbecoming as a society for us to do that to someone and to be okay with it, to laugh along with it. We should not be laughing along with it. We should not be forwarding these memes. We should be saying, what the heck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Because like, think about it, Ran. Our job, what we do, it's our job. Yes, it's our passion. It's your passion also, but it's our job. It's my job. It's what puts food on the table for me. Right? But my job is on display for you to criticize. My job is on display for you to criticize. Your job is not on, yours perhaps is, but a corporate person's job is not on television for me to criticize or have an opinion about even.
It's the most scrutinized part of the Indian professional world, the cricketing world.
Yeah, right? And maybe there are a few other careers as well. But when that is the case, you have to exercise a certain amount of empathy and that dignity to the other person to allow them to fail. Yes, it might hurt you. One of the most beautiful things we did as a country, I believe, is our expression of love and our reaction and response to the way we treated our Indian team after we lost the World Cup. I think that's how and that's who we should be as a society. As Indians, multiculturally, as we are, that's who we should be. But I think but we don't exercise that, right? For the sake of memes, for the sake of a few laughs, for the sake of money, we are willing to tear a person down to his foundations. And that is not right.
I think people are too caught up in villainizing Hardik without understanding that they are becoming the villains in the situation.
Maybe so. And obviously there's that the long-term perception is not there. And the depth to understand that is perhaps not exercised. It's probably there, but it's not exercised. But so these are the things that he's going through. So with these things that he's going through, he said, okay, if I'm coming back to Mumbai Indians, after doing this in another franchise, I want to come back as captain. Is that wrong? From his perspective. Is that wrong?
No.
Right? And he says, okay, I don't know how long I'll play cricket. I want a good deal financially. Is that wrong? Because we've already spoken about it. Cricketers, athletes have very short careers. They want to maximize it in the shortest amount of time. Agreed? So that's not wrong. So from his perception, he's right.
Yeah.
And he wants to win for Mumbai Indians. That's why he's coming back even.
Yeah.
Agreed? Because they've lost 3 years and he's gone 1-2 years. You're like, okay, I'll come back and win it for us. So that's his goal. That's his perception. So that's his perception. Now the third perception is Rohit. Rohit's perception is won 5 titles for Mumbai Indians, brought the team out of oblivion after the first 5 years, 5 years, and then discovered incredible cricketers, produced with the help of the support staff and the franchise, discovered incredible cricketers and continues to do so, become one of the best captains, arguably one of the best captains in the IPL. And for him, even if he was going out, I think one thing that was remiss in this whole situation from all three perspectives was even if someone didn't agree with the decision, like say if Rohit didn't agree with the decision, but if they had given him a nice send-off, the dignity of a nice send-off for someone who's achieved so much for you, I think was remiss. That could have been, if there's a gap anywhere, I feel that is a gap that could have been filled, and that would have appeased the whole, just not even galvanize the whole team, but just appease the whole situation. Because overnight, I heard that they lost 1 million followers and all. I don't know how that's relevant with, that has nothing to do with the cricket that's played on the field, right?
Social media drives narratives nowadays.
Yeah, and it's crazy how we allow that to happen in our lives, right? It's mad. Like some of the things, not a topic for another conversation, but these are the three perspectives that play here. So the minute you start looking at it from individual perspectives, you'll have a much more neutral comprehension of the whole situation. And I don't think people are taking time to do that.
Do you think this whole combination of all these perspectives is affecting their performance?
Yeah, I think that each individually in these three perceptions, they're sitting on their own perceptions. I think if they can come together and have a conversation about it, and it's a difficult conversation. Egos are involved, narratives are involved, perceptions are involved. But if they can have a heart to heart and find a way to galvanize the team in a situation like this, I promise you, a team from this kind of a situation can come back and win the championship.
Damn.
If they can come together and have that conversation. It's about, someone has to play peacemaker, someone has to bring people together, someone has to apologize, drop their ego. All of these things have to happen. Now, how evolved are you as a human being to make those things happen is a matter of, will it happen, won't it happen?
You're also speaking as someone who's been a professional cricketer.
Yeah.
So you're seeing it from a very nuanced lens.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an ego-based situation which never gets resolved? And then countless.
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. People just sit on their high horses and say, no, I'm moving. Let's talk about a franchise who I love and desperately want them to win for their fans. RCB. Why don't they win? I think Ambati made a point about this a couple of weeks ago, about all their experience is at the top. Where is the experience when you need it at the crunch moments? Where is the experience when you need it, when you need to sacrifice your own, say, agendas for the greater good of the team? Now, everybody knows it's common knowledge that Bangalore is the second highest height-wise, altitude-wise in the world after Joburg. That's 850 meters above sea level. So if you hit a ball in the air, it stays hit. It's a known fact. All the cricketers know it, right? It's a great wicket to bat on. It's a small ground, right? So how do you make this difficult to score runs on? That should be the case. Like, how did KKR win in 12 and 14? They made it so hard for visiting team to score runs on there. They were like, we'll win, dude.
And they built their team around the conditions.
They built their team around the conditions of the ground. Spinners came into play. So who were the spinners at that point? Piyush Chawla, Sunil Narayan, Shakib Al Hasan, all of these guys, right? Kuldeep Yadav, I may be missing a few more. All of these guys are spinners. They built the team around the conditions that were there. Now, if RCB do something as simple as having the experience where they need to have it, creating conditions for visiting teams to score, like where it's hard for a visiting team to come out and win, they'll have results much more in their favor. See, the science of winning the IPL is you have 7 games at home, you have to win 5 of the 7. You have 7 games away, try and win 3 and 4 out of that. You have 8 to 9 wins, you qualify to the back end of the tournament. Back end of the tournament, anything can happen.
Totally unpredictable?
It's totally unpredictable.
Okay.
The only predictability comes if you're playing in your home venue or away venue, where you're playing.
If you were in charge of the RCB management, what would you do in the upcoming so-called mega auction, which is not confirmed yet? And maybe a sub-question before you get into that.
How many should be retained?
How did you feel as a player about all these mega auctions? Because
Hated it.
Hated it, right?
I hated it.
Mostly fans dislike it because it breaks team culture.
So more than that, no, you're treated as a commodity, Aaron. And each of the teams make a whole lot of money every year from the IPL. Like I think their revenue is massive. If you compare the amount that the players make compared to the revenue that teams make, players in the total make 100 crores. What's earned by revenue per team every year is in thousands of crores. And to be, one is to live within that disparity when the cricket and the quality of cricket is what is bringing in the money, right? To live within that realm of disparity, while at the same time being treated as a commodity, it's not a good feeling. It is not a good feeling.
Really?
And your level of significance is dictated by how much you get sold for at the auction. So if you're unlucky and you're not sold, that means you're not good enough. That is not true. Not true by any sense of the word. And it's such a deeply frustrating aspect of the IPL. I wish it was a more respectful method. There was a more respectful method of actually conducting, players being distributed to different teams. A draft is a very nice way, a very respectable way of, players going to different sides.
Do you think the IPL will ever actually adopt this NBA style model?
I hope so. I truly hope so. Because if otherwise, we'll reach a point of stagnation and then we'll go to devolution. We'll devolve as because it's if you're stagnating after a point, then you're not evolving, man. You're just going backwards.
The draft in the NBA is such a beautiful system.
Exactly.
Where the bottom teams get
and
the first
we are the
few
most
picks.
cerebral people in the world. Like I'd say we're more brain than brawn than the rest of the world, right? And when we have the wherewithal, why aren't we exercising it? And that's my thing. We can, like, even within that draft system, we can take that draft system and make it into such a beautiful hybrid that it serves everybody. The players, the teams, the franchises, the BCCI, everyone. You can serve everybody, the whole ecosystem.
Just so that the cricket fans who are not familiar with the NBA understand what the draft is. Basically, the NBA is the professional version of basketball. Then there's the college version of basketball. And the top college athletes every year enter the draft. The teams that finished at the bottom of the NBA choose from amongst the top guys from the college level. Therefore, there's kind of an equilibrium maintained within the NBA. As in, teams will go into growth
quality.
phases. Yeah.
The quality remains the same in a sense, and they can do that. Say, I heard talks about 8 retentions that all the teams want. Great. Have your 8 retentions, and then teams that do last, give them the first pick of the top players. Yeah. You can actually just create, like, I'm sitting here, random thought, right? You can literally do that, and you'll create a much more even Stevens kind of, draft.
From a fan
quality.
perspective, it's very frustrating to see only 4 players are retained. And then your favorite players go to like these other randoms.
Yeah, I hope, and I truly hope that it changes, and I hope it moves to like an 8-player retention. That would make us much more, and that would actually be a much more solid core that can have longevity and time with a franchise. And I truly believe, like, a lot of these scouting players who are scouted, like Mumbai Indians scout, KKR scout, CSK scout, all of these teams that scout, RCB, all of these teams that scout, they should have first right of refusal with these players. Because if you've scouted someone, say for example, Ankush Raghuvanshi, who plays for KKR, was discovered here 4 years ago, right? He was literally kept under wraps so that nobody sees him. And that's the only way KKR could pick him, right? You shouldn't go to stealth mode for the hard work that you're doing. Like, that shouldn't become a part and parcel of the way of you exercising good picks that you've actually made, discoveries that you've actually made. You should have that first right of refusal to say, okay, I'm not going to use him, so you can have him, based on the composition of your team. And all of these things just take a little bit of thought. It's a thought exercise that will land you to that space, and then you place it. But that's not done.
There's too much momentum with the old systems of the IPL. And
and we don't like breaking away from it. We don't, and it takes a long while I think even for T20 to happen here, the IPL to happen here. Apparently, the IPL is ready in 2000. The concept came alive in 94, 95 apparently, and was introduced was spoken about for the first time in 2000. But happened only after the ISL happened and ICL happened. Sorry, so the ICL happened, and then that propagated this whole movement.
Did you follow the ICL a little bit?
No.
No, right? Okay.
No, because at that point I was young. I was 17, 18, and at that point, because it was banned by the BCCI, and I so wanted to make and I know I was already in the system. I didn't even pay attention.
If you were in charge of RCB with that particular ground, which is small, which is at a high altitude, what would your move be as the management? Like you'd go for bowlers with low economy rates traditionally?
I would go and beg. First, I would beg UZ to come back. Right? I would do anything, go through hell and high water to bring UZ back from RR, make amends with him. I would maybe even go and bring Harshal Patel back and prepare wickets that are conducive for bowlers like that to succeed. Right? Because look at the caliber of batters you have there. You have a Faf du Plessis, you have a Virat Kohli, you have Glenn Maxwell, 50-50. You have Dinesh Karthik there. They've had such great cricketers, such great batters who've come through the ranks. AB played for them, Chris Gale played for them, Travis Head played for them, let them go. Shane Watson played for them, let them go. These are the foreigners I'm talking about, right?
Klaasen played
for them, let them go. Okay, and then let's come to the Indian cricketers. Manish Pandey, myself, KL Rahul, Karun Nair, Mayank Agarwal, Devdutt Padikkal, all local boys. They let all of them go. Do you know who the highest scorer for RCB is after Virat Kohli?
It's probably the KL.
No, it's Rahul Dravid.
Wow.
Crazy, right? But it tells you a story, right? And I think if you move from that narrative and say, okay, a Virat Kohli, irrespective of his wickets spinning or not spinning or flat or not flat, he will score runs. He knows how to score runs. So he'll score. So you don't need a 180. You don't need if you get, like in KKR, when they won championships in 2012 and 14, 170 was a winning total. Right? During day matches, 170 is winning. 150 was winning total in day matches. Night matches, 170 is winning total. Same here, your 170 will become 190, your 150 will become 170. You'll still score because the elevation of the ground, the size of the ground will make it a high scoring ground. But you have to make it harder to score runs, and RCB aren't doing that.
Very amateur level, invest a lot more in bowling.
Yeah.
And retain.
Invest a lot more in bowling and invest a lot more in finishers. Like, not when I say finishers, I mean invest a lot more in your middle order batters and like sustain those players for a long time. Exercise faith. They don't exercise security. Look at the number of players that have played for RCB in this IPL. This IPL, I think already about 20 players have played. So it's scored a 25.
Yeah, I think the other criticism...
Again, it goes back to security, insecurity. You create security within the group, they go out there for performances. You create insecurity within a group, they go out there for survival.
Speaking of the survival thing, is this, and I know I'm like simplifying a very large and nuanced topic, but this situation of survival, is it the core cause of the mental health battles that cricketers face? And I'm talking right from Marcus Trescottic to yourself.
Not necessarily. I think
different.
Culturally it's very different.
Okay.
I think in our culture it's more the strain of competition, insecurity, its performance and lack of performance and the judgments of performance. Like, see, for example, I remember I was absolutely fine when my last year with KKR, right? For whatever reason, towards the end, personally, from my perspective, I wasn't treated very well. As a senior pro, I wasn't treated very well. And in that instance, my last match for KKR was a horrible game. I had a bad day at work, and my work was there for everyone to judge and criticize, and I got criticized. I got taken to the cleaners. And I can tell you, Ran, in that time after that, for a good 2 months, 3 months, I switched off my comments on social media. I got off social media because if I was on social media, I could feel the anxiety and the depression coming back. And I had by then my son was 2 years old, 1 year old. I had a wife and a son, and I didn't want to go through that whole gambit again. So I had to make a very conscious choice to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. Let me fucking serve my family. And I had a bad day, and a bad day doesn't dictate my life. And I know what led to that bad day and why I got there and all of that, which is if I ever write a book, I'll probably write about it. I won't write a book, but
You'd write a great book.
I'd write a long book, I'll tell you that.
You'd write a great book.
I'd write a long book if I write one. But yeah, so and then I was like, okay, I'll just focus on my family, and I'm not going to allow one bad day to dictate how the rest of my career goes. And I worked hard, went back into, and that's the phase when I again broke my batting down to its foundations, because when that transition phase for me was going back to the old me, to the Robin that everyone saw initially coming into Indian cricket, right?
Big curly hair.
Yeah, the big curly hair, the flamboyant batting, the aggressive batting, the flair, the finesse, and all of that stuff, right? So for me, I basically I broke my batting down again to its foundations, went through the whole process again, and then built myself back up by remembering. I had to remember every part of my body, of my batting, my biomechanics, and that took me 2 years again. So by 2020, back end of 2020, my batting was set again. So it took from 2018, 2019 to 2021 almost for that batting to form. And then once that got set is when I moved to CSK. That move to CSK happened, and then I didn't play and then was able to play. And today, my confidence just within batting and helping batters out is so much that I know that I'll be able to help anyone with their batting, any professional cricketer with their batting, with the minimum amount of changes. Because I've done it myself, and I've taken myself through hell and high water to go through that. So I know what it takes mentally, emotionally to go through that, physically what it takes to go through that. So there's a whole other way. There's one way you'll deal with professional cricketers, and there's one way you'll deal with youngsters. Can I talk about this? Isn't this something I want to talk about? Please. About young cricketers who are taking up the sport, please. More so for parents who want their kids to play the sport of cricket. Understand one thing, that you can't seek performance between the ages of 10 and 15. You can't seek 100s, 200s and those kind of performances between the ages of 10 and 15. Between the age of 10 and 15 is when you're setting up muscle memory. You need to be patient with your child. You need to allow them to form that muscle memory. And please make sure that your kids are pursuing a sport or pursuing something that they love pursuing. You shouldn't be living vicariously through your kids, right? Please make sure, as much as you love the sport, don't make your child pursue your dreams. Let them pursue theirs, And I would, and my parents were incredible in allowing me to pursue cricket. When I said all I had was literally one single conversation with them about saying I want to play cricket, and 2 days later gloves came, 1 week later bat came, and 10 days later I was in the academy. And I give my dad and mom a lot of credit for that, and they've done right by me by giving me that support. So I would say to all parents that first, make sure your kids aren't living your dreams. Let them pursue it if they're pursuing it and they love it and it's their fun and it's fun for them. Because you also have to understand that kids at that age are, especially in this time and age, are discovering themselves. As time has gone by, the evolution of people are happening much earlier in life. Like today, kids who are 13 and 14 are very, self-evident. They self-actualize. They know who they are.
Older than what we used to be.
Yeah. They know who they are. They know what they like, what they don't like, which direction they're going in, what they would like to do. And I think all the narratives in the world also kind of navigate them to that place. It could be because the elites want to have more workforce, but maybe we can use that to our advantage and be more, woke in a sense. Not woke in the in the PC culture sense, but woke in being awake, so to speak. Being awakened, if I may say so. So use that to your advantage. And I think a lot of kids actually are there. So if that can happen, then I think the chances, you can't guarantee anything in life, but you can give yourself the best chance to be successful. You do this with your kids, you will give them the best chance to be successful. Don't seek performance at the age of 10 and 15. Let their games form, let them grow. Biomechanically, they'll change a lot. They'll grow tall, they'll grow short, they'll not grow short, but they'll become stronger, probably wider, probably muscular. Allow them to go through all of that. Demanding performance in a phase when they're going through all of that is unfair. If they're, for example, if batters are scoring 50s consistently, it's a great sign that the kid's got tremendous potential. You can't seek hundreds and 200s and all of that, and consistency and all that is maniacal to expect of a kid.
What's your advice to like young upcoming IPL cricketers who've made it to the IPL? Bro, honestly, I have two core memories of Robin Uthappa. One's a part of like the India squad. Like I remember the run out and everything. The performance against, I think it was Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken, right? The second version of you is that very leaned out, very mature version of you at KKR, especially with the orange cap. Like at the top of that table. When people actually read up more about you, they realize what you went through to even become those two versions of yourself. I think you're the right person and you're capable of articulating it well, which is why I'm asking you this question. And there's a lot of cricketers who watch these podcasts. What's your advice to that young upcoming cricketer?
Advice to a young upcoming cricketer. Again, one is understand if this is your true passion and why you're playing the sport. Are you playing it because you love it? Are you playing it because it'll make you money? And whatever it is, if you have the motivation to play it and you clear with yourself that these are the reasons I'm playing it, stay true to it.
There are people who just play for money?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Even at the level of the IPL?
Yeah, why not?
I would assume that even to get there, you need to have that inherent deep passion.
Well, you can be passionate, and if you have the skills, say I'm passionate about money, but I have the skills of playing cricket well, I can pursue the passion of money through the medium of cricket, right?
Wow.
Doesn't have to, right? So understanding that aspect first at a very foundational level, as to why you're playing cricket and what drives you to play cricket, how much do you enjoy it, what parts of it do you enjoy, and staying true to that. Two is your convictions. Your convictions need to be absolutely clear. I don't know where I got my convictions from, but I knew at a very young age I was going to play for India, which is why I told my mom, even if I earned 10 rupees from it, because the narrative was you may not earn too much money if you play sport in India. So I told my mom at the age of 8, even if I earn 10 rupees from it, I want to play cricket. So at that age, I knew I was going to play for India. I didn't know how, I didn't know where, I didn't know when. I just knew I'll play for India. And that stayed with me. So your convictions are critical. You have to be convinced. If you're not convicted, then other people can't be convicted of your potential. So you have to be convicted. Between the ages of 15 and 28, work as hard as you possibly can, especially if you're a batter. Work as hard as you possibly can. Draw inspirations from the likes of Virat Kohli, Rahul Dravid, Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal. I'm talking about guys who are more contemporary right now. KL Rahul. All of these guys, high rep guys. High repetition. So work very hard. Know that the answers are all within. The more you know yourself, the better you'll perform. So when I say know yourself, you have to know your batting. You have to know your mindset, what that works for you. You have to understand how much repetition works for you, what kind of a player you are, rhythm, timer, flamboyant, understanding that aspect about yourself. Know that if you want to play cricket at a high level, that no, it's not just cricket, it's also beyond cricket. Understand those aspects. What are those things that'll take, that if you want to play for a long time, what will it take? And then understand and check with yourself if those are aspects that you can exercise or not. And based on that, set goals for yourself.
You're talking about the social skills angle.
The social skills angle.
Anything else?
Financially, you will make money. So when you do make money, seek advice, seek professionals. Today, there are a lot of managers who manage cricketers. I would say find money managers, people who will manage your money for you. You'll be a lot more at peace. Be in the know-how of, it's okay, you're giving 2% away, 3% away, 5% away for someone who manages your money, but have professional money managers. Now, I understand that we come culturally from different parts of the country and we're very diverse culturally. But based on your culture, find someone within your culture in a professional medium to manage your money. Because it's available.
Or just find a Gujarati.
that.
my finance people are all good, you.
Yeah, or that.
That thing you said about give away a little bit, that's damn important, dude.
Yeah.
I see too many even content creators, film stars who don't make the right decisions because of that little conjuicy.
Yeah.
Like just pay that little extra, but work with the right people.
Yeah. I would also say, as in fact, to give a little bit of a life advice, let's say give. It'll always come back.
Yeah.
Give. Because if you give, like, see, what you give out is what comes back to you, right? It's what you think is what you put out in the universe and what you put out in the world, right? What you put out to God. And then that's what comes back to you. Because that's the energy you're putting out. That's the frequency you're putting out. That frequency will come back to you. So you give, then that comes back. It's just natural.
Robin Uthappa, I hope I meet you every single year and I get to speak to you. I want to say what a mind, but I want to say what a tongue and yet not make it sound dirty. Dude, what a mind. You need to be asked the right questions.
Yeah.
And I think
thanks,
I knew this about you because my job as a podcaster is to read between the lines when people are talking.
Sure.
So I've always noticed this about you on television, and there's a lot more that the internet needs from you, man.
Yeah.
I'm just talking to the Robin Uthappa of 2024, but I'm going to become a bit of a fan now and talk to the cricketer Robin Uthappa. Bro, thank you for all the memories. Trust me, we've watched you bat. We've enjoyed seeing you bat. The real cricket fans knew about what you were going through on some level. Yeah. Some stuff used to get out. You used to talk about it. We would see posts.
I intentionally spoke about it because I felt it needed to be spoken about, because I think a lot of people go through it. Not enough people voice it. In fact, vulnerability in men is considered a weakness, but I think it's a strength. It takes a lot of strength to be vulnerable and speak about it in a matter of fact kind of way, that you've been through it, especially if you've been through it, and to talk about it so that people can resonate, people can relate to it, people can take solace in that fact that, okay, everyone goes through this. And I think that perception of vulnerability in men as a weakness needs to change. Yes, you need to be stoic. I agree with that. I'm a very traditional man in that sense. You need to be stoic. You need to go through what you need to go through. You need to go through all of it with strength. But when you do go through it and come out of it shiny, you need to talk about it. That, hey, I went through this, and say that it's okay to go through this. It's okay to be weak. It's okay to, struggle sometimes. Because a diamond doesn't become a diamond by just sitting in the rough. It needs to be shined. It needs to be polished. It needs to be scrubbed. It needs to go through fire to come out shiny.
Which is why you won 2 orange caps.
No, 1.
The IPL orange cap and the life orange cap.
Thanks, dude.
Seriously, man. I don't look forward to all my shoot days. But if I ever see a cricketer on my schedule, it's a huge deal for me. You in particular, I've been looking forward to speaking to you for years. So
yeah, man.
Really,
thank you. Thank you for having me over, because like I said, I've been watching your stuff, and I think I've seen your evolution happen as well over these last 3 or 4, 5 years that I've watched you speak. I've seen you grow up from maybe almost as a young adult to a proper adult, and I think the kind of people you've also interacted with in the large spectrum of subjects that you kind of cover is incredible, and I love the fact that you're open-minded about everything, and how you go about your whole spiel is beautiful. And at some point I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to have you over because I want to know everything about you.
More than happy to. Honestly, I don't think I've fully unlocked everything that you went through.
Yeah,
but that leaves
certainly not.
For
I'm happy about it because it makes for a longer conversation another time.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And trust me, this is going to stay on the internet for a very long time. Lots of people are going to gain value from it.
I hope so. I hope it's useful to people.
Thank you for your time, Robin Uthappa.
Thank you.
Lots of love.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the episode for today. For guess who as articulate as Robin Uthappa, even 2 hours is never enough. Felt like there was a lot more to ask him about. Felt like there was a lot more stories that he's yet to share with us, but that leaves room for another episode. I had a blast speaking with him. I enjoy all these cricket episodes. Please tell me what else you'd like for me to ask the other cricketers who appear on TRS. We've got a few coming up. Watch out. Stay tuned. Cricket is one of my favorite subjects to cover on the podcast. It's only the beginning of TRS. Lots more coming your way. Special thanks to Robin Uthappa. I have not completely processed this episode because he's just left my house, but he's one of the purest people I've met throughout the journey of the show. Keep following TRS, keep supporting us. And if you're a cricket fan watching this and you want to pick up any part of the podcast for the sake of reels, as long as you're giving the Ranveer Show a shout out, we're completely okay with it. No copyright problems whatsoever. Please be our guest and use all these clips. And for the rest of you, thank you for your support. And until next time, from Ranveer and the team, we'll be back on the Ranveer Show.